की पॉलिसी आता चालेल का थंडी
Aishwarya ma'am, please see whether Thanekar sir had joined and Shankar sir is joined.
No, I can't see him.
Okay, I'll call them.
See, we'll speak in a minute. People are still joining. Welcome all to the first session of the new year. हमारा इस साल का पहला tag का session है and second last from our series. Welcome all. We will begin very soon.
I think 94 participants are there. So we should start our meeting. I call Karekar sir. He will join as he finishes meeting.
Okay, okay. Shall we begin? Do you want to begin, Purnima?
Yes, but I think wait for a few seconds because Shankar sir is going to
Okay,
join.
okay.
As soon as he joins the meeting, we'll start.
Sure.
Okay. Sir has joined actually. So we'll start our meeting. So once again, I would like to welcome all of you. Good afternoon to all of you. Today it is 21st January 2025. And as Aishwarya ma'am just now said that it is our first meeting in this year, but actually it is our sixth meeting as per our educational calendar. So once again, I welcome all of you in this sixth session of TAG coordinators facilitation. Okay, in the beginning, I would like to welcome Honorable Sri Namdev Shankar sir, Honorable Principal of DIET, and respected Karekar sir, Education Officer of Secondary ZP Pune. And of course, I welcome all the team of CLR, Aishwarya Madam, Saurabh sir, and all the team, Vaishali Madam, and all the team, and of course, all my BRPs and who play very vital role in this TAC meeting. Those are TAC coordinators. So I welcome all the TAC coordinators. So actually, today's our guest is Dr. Bhausat Karekar sir, but as he is little bit busy in some work, so he will join the meeting afterwards and then he will guide us. Now I request our respected principal sir, Namdev Shankar sir, to give us best wishes. Shankar Sahib.
नमस्ते मॅडम.
Yes, sir.
नमस्ते सर्वांना. आमच्या जिल्ह्यातील सर्व टॅग कॉर्डिनेटर, विभाग प्रमुख सुवर्णा तोरणे मॅडम, CLR चे ऐश्वर्या गाडगे, सौरभ आणि सगळी टीम, सर्वांचं मनपूर्वक स्वागत. आजच्या या टॅग मीटिंग मध्ये सर्वांचं मनपूर्वक एकदा स्वागत करतो. आणि खरं तर पुणे जिल्ह्यामध्ये टॅगचा खूप छान उपक्रम चालू आहे. इंग्रजी बाबत चांगलं कामकाज सुरू आहे आणि त्याकरताच आपण या महिन्याची शिक्षण परिषद आपण 27 तारखेला घेतोय आणि केंद्रामध्ये ती साधारणपणे 29 ते 31 मध्ये होईल. या शिक्षण परिषदेमध्ये आपण इंग्रजी विषय घेतलेला आहे. या शिक्षण परिषदेमध्ये आपले जे टॅग कॉर्डिनेटर आहेत केंद्राचे, या टॅग कॉर्डिनेटरनी सहभाग घ्यावा, म्हणजे शिक्षण परिषदेत ते अधिक आपला जो कार्यक्रम आहे तो अधिक प्रभावीपणे सांगू शकतील. सर्वांना आजच्या कार्यशाळेसाठी मनपूर्वक शुभेच्छा. धन्यवाद.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, sir. Your guidance always motivate us, and we have the feeling that our principal is always with us. So if leader is with us, then program becomes successful. Thank you very much. And as sir has talked about the Shikshan Parishad, so of course I would like to invite all of you that we are going to organize Shikshan this month Shikshan Parishad on 27, and all of you will join this meeting, and Shikshan Parishad means it will have that much success as if you are with us. So thank you very much. Questioning skill is very important, isn't it? So all of you must agree with it that questioning, as a teacher, questioning skill is very important. So why questioning skill is important? Because it plays very effective role to make our teaching learning process more effective, isn't it? And that is why questioning skill is very important. One reason I would like to tell here that it promotes active learning. It promotes active learning. How? Why? How it promotes active learning? That if a teacher asks any thought-provoking question, that time students start thinking over it. Critical thinking will be there. Analytical thinking will be there. And student will become alert of learning. Student will become active of learning, active in learning, teaching learning process, isn't it? And he will become, what to say, our teaching learning process become interactive, isn't it? So that is why questioning skill is very important. To make student active learner, questioning skill is important. Teacher will make learner active, and that is why questioning skill is important. And of course, as I said, that all of you must agree with it, that questioning skill is really important. And that is why today we have selected that topic for our taxation. So today's our taxation is based on questioning skill. Here, so our topic name is questioning techniques for English comprehension. Today's our topic name is questioning techniques for English comprehension, in which we are going to focus on importance of asking appropriate questions. See, to ask appropriate question at appropriate time is very important, and that is why today's our focus is on asking appropriate questions in English language classroom. So how to ask appropriate questions? Whether there are some strategies, whether there are some techniques. So yes, today we are going to learn those techniques, those strategies to make our classroom more effective, and we can, as a teacher, we can questions. So these two focuses, having these two focuses in our mind, today we are going to learn more about questioning skill. So as a lecturer of DIET, from DIET and from me, I would like to give my best wishes to all of you to learn more and more and use these skills, use these strategies in your classroom. So best wishes to you. And as soon as Karikar sir will join our meeting, he too will guide us. And thank you very much. Carry on, Aishwarya Gadgil, madam.
Thank you, Torni ma'am. Thank you so much. Okay, so like Torni ma'am said, today's we have two objectives for the session today. First is we are going to see why the questions are important, which kind of questions are important, and how they help in comprehension in English classrooms. And as always, we are also going to look at some of the strategies or activities that can be conducted in the classroom. So there will be enough support provided for all of you to guide you through the process. Okay, can we go to the next slide, please? So like always, we have mapped this session to some of the objectives from Nipun. So today's session will also connect you with the OLD part, oral language development, vocabulary, reading comprehension, reading fluency, and culture of reading. So all these are interconnected topics, and today's topic will also be connecting to all these objectives from Nipun. Next. As always, the session is divided into 4 main parts: learning by listening, learning by speaking, learning by reading, and learning by watching. So in learning by listening, we are going to do one audio activity as usual. We have one audio, so we all will listen to the audio and then respond to the questions. Then in speaking, we have some activity followed by a discussion. So this time we also want your participation. So there'll be a discussion in the speaking part. So the speaking will actually be through the discussion part of it, which we will try to do most of the part in English. Then in the reading part, we have an article. Like always, we have one article spread across 2 slides. We will read that article and try to understand the main highlights from that reading article. And then in the last part, we have learning by watching, where we will look at a video, a classroom video recorded by a teacher, and then we will share our thoughts about it, our observations, and then we'll have a short discussion on it before we conclude today's session. Yeah, next. Before
Aishwarya
that,
madam, Aishwarya
yes.
madam,
Yes.
one request to you. Please speak slowly so that everyone.
Sure. Sure.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, before going ahead, we are going to do a short survey that like we always do. So there will be a poll that will be launched now, and you will see the poll questions on the screen. Sana, can you launch the poll? तुम्हाला तुमच्या स्क्रीनवरती पोलचे प्रश्न दिसत असतील. स्क्रीनवरती आलं नसेल तर उजवीकडे खालती एक बटन असेल मोर नावाचं. जस्ट टॅप ऑन दोज 3 dots on your phone mobile screen. You will see those 3 dots and there you will see the poll option. Just click on the poll. There are 2 questions. 2 प्रश्न आहेत, त्याची आपण उत्तर देऊयात. आपलं थोडंसं काय अंडरस्टँडिंग आहे किंवा आपली काय मतं आहेत. We will just have a quick idea what do we think about it, and then we will go ahead. First question is, what is an interpretive question? And second question is, which of the following should be avoided during questioning in English classrooms? It's okay if you don't know the correct answers right now. This is just a survey to check our understanding at the beginning of the session. Going to wait for 30 seconds before we move on. Okay, interesting answers. वेगवेगळी उत्तरे येतात एकदम. Okay, interesting. If you have not already responded, please open the poll question. Some people might be in the classrooms. I understand you are a bit busy right now since it's a weekday. It's a Monday today. But could you please take some 30 seconds and respond to the poll on the screen? On the right hand side of the screen in the corner, you will see 3 dots and you will see the option for poll. Just click on it so that you will see 2 questions that we have to respond to. Okay, interesting answers. I'm just going to wait for another 10-15 seconds and then we will move on. If anybody has still not responded, please respond so that we can move on.
Aishwarya madam,
Yes.
sorry for the disturbance. But as we were waiting for the respected education officer,
Yes.
Dr. Bhavsait Karikar sir. So he is there. So I request Dr. Karikar sir to guide us and give best wishes to all our TAC coordinators and us too. So Karikar sir.
Yes, thank you, madam.
Yes.
Thank you. Good afternoon, all. I'm in one meeting, so I just left the meeting for 1 or 2 minutes to give you the best wishes. Right, the session which is going regarding the TAG participations. I think 6 sessions already done, and the way the TAG persons are doing the responsibilities and their work with the other teachers, with the participants. Near about 25 teachers group is there. They're coordinating all those teachers and I try to upgrade the English language. See, always I tell ki English is, we are just looking towards English as a subject. But instead of looking towards as a subject, we should uh, consider it as a language and we should take the follow-up regarding it. So first thing is this is very good program that everyone gets the exposure through this tech platform and uh, some of the teachers are so much so enthusiastic and having good innovation within them regarding English language and if they put their ideas and innovations in this group, that will be helpful for others and it will a good guideline for other teachers to implement it within the classrooms. And I think, Turna madam, you're taking a lot of efforts for this, especially diet. As you told me, that exposure is given for the teachers, and this is the session progression plan. As I know, you started it in the month of July, and it will go up to February 25. And literacy objectives, fundamental language. Then today's session is regarding the question, if I'm not wrong, right?
Yes, sir.
Framing the questions. So it's a big question mark always in front of all the teachers, how to deal with English language. But today's session is very much helpful for those teachers who are having such problems facing in their class dealing with the students. So always I say, more you listen, more you speak. So LSRW is more important, and communication skill is also helpful to convey your message, to give your information to others, and to messages others, and to understand the things what you require from others. So these skills are so much important in English language, and everyone try to get the opportunity to the teachers at the school level, and the group which is framed through tag. It means tag person who is a representative of 25 persons plays a very much important role for others and to share their ideas and try to get the things very simplified. It means English is very easy language in compare with others. If we just think about the language and the aspects of language, then once we are familiar with those aspects, that kindly put it in a particular frame and automatically it go ahead with the framing thing, with the framing things. Can you hear me all?
Yes, sir.
So the way diet is taking the effort and other resources are taking the reports to expand the things, what is expected at the end of the year for that particular academic year. I'm giving my best wishes. So a lot of activities are going to conduct in this session, and not in this session, but with the whole year. And it's a very good platform or dais for all others to expand their ideas. So as an education officer of district, I'm giving my best wishes for this program because I want to talk with you a lot, but because of time, I'm with the collector sir right now for the quality education program of education in the district. So I left the meeting for 1 or 2 minutes and here with you to give the best wishes and very successive achievement till the end of this academic year. Thank you, Tonto Madam. Thank you.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you very much, sir. Actually, sir is very busy. Still he got some time for us. Thank you very much for this. And the way you express your thought and your fluency, of course, if it must have impressed all the TAC coordinators. And I would like to tell all the TAC coordinators that sir has trained lot of many teachers. Means every English teacher from secondary, I think. Know him as a EO now, but he was a very good trainer of English when he was in diet. So every teacher know him for his language, for his knowledge, and everything. So thank you very much, sir. Sir, just now, sir told us that English is really easy language, but if we practice it, and that is why he has suggested us that make use of this platform, this tag platform, and give exposure to everyone. So thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much. Once again, we will have your full session for at least for our secondary teachers. And I think as a EO, you used to speak with them, but as a master of English, you would like to speak with them. So thank you very much, sir. So now, Aishwarya, go ahead. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, sir. Thanks for your inspiring words. And I've heard a lot about Karikar, sir. So whenever the session is on, I would also like to participate. Thank you so much. Okay, so we did one pre-session survey just to check our understanding what all we know. And now we are going to go to the first part of the session. As always, it is going to be a listening activity. What do we have to do? There are some questions over here on the screen. There are 5 questions. And there's going to be one audio. So I would request everybody to take some time and just read the questions before we listen to the audio. Just take maybe a minute and read out the questions. What we are going to do is we are going to listen to the audio and simultaneously you can respond to the questions. So once we listen to the audio, you can just respond to the questions in the chat box or after the video, we can unmute and speak as well. Right? Just take next 10-15 seconds to read all the questions and then we can go to the audio. All right. Let's listen to the audio. Sana, can you please play the audio? Yeah. It's not audible. I think you'll have to share the screen and play it on a separate tab.
Okay, can you hear me now?
I can hear you, but I can't hear the audio. Can you play it
Now?
No, you can. I mean, you can just share the screen, enable sound sharing, and play it in a separate tab.
Yeah.
So there are 5 different questions on the screen, as you've already read through it. And then we are going to just find answers to that questions from the audio. The audio is very simple. It's about an ancestral home and the things that the person is doing with their family in the house. So you can just pay attention to the details which are covered in the audio. And it has a lot of details, by the way. So it also shows you the narrator's relationships with her family members, what they do during the day. So it's like a routine they follow in the house. So just pay attention to it and then we can answer the questions.
Okay, I'm sharing it now. Let me know.
Audio script 11.
I live in my ancestral house with my parents, grandparents, my older sister Maya, and brother Raju. My father is an officer in the State Bank of India, and my mother is a housewife. Our house is quite large. It has 4 rooms, a big kitchen, and a nice veranda. My grandmother loves to sit on the veranda and look out at the garden. At the back of the house, we have a well. It gives us enough water throughout the year. I like to listen to the stories my grandfather tells me. Sometimes I go out and play on the rope swing in the garden. My sister likes to go out and chat with her friends. My brother likes to help my mother in the kitchen. When my father comes home in the evening, he has a hot cup of tea and snacks. He likes to talk to us about our day at school. Sometimes he and my mother go shopping. We have our dinner at 8:30. Later, we watch TV for an hour. We go to bed by 10 and get up early by 5 in the morning to start a new day.
Okay, so that was the audio. Now we will go to the questions one by one. If you want to answer by unmuting yourself, please raise your hand so that we can unmute you. So the first question is, what time does the family have dinner? When do they have dinner? Okay, somebody has already responded in the chat box. 8:30, correct. A lot of people have got the answer right. It's 8:30. So they have the dinner at 8:30. Second question, why do you think the grandfather's stories are important to the narrator? So the narrator says that she listens to the stories from her grandfather. Why do you think they are important for her? It is not given in the audio, but then you can just imagine why it would be important for her, and you can unmute yourself and talk. Just raise your hand so that we know that you want to speak. Okay, anybody wants to try? It's okay if there's no answer. Like this question does not have an answer in the audio, but then you can just try answering. Yes, Sheetal ma'am.
Stories play a very important role in inculcation of values. So we
Okay.
can say these are important.
Okay. All right. So
For moral values.
Okay, for moral values, Kavita ma'am is saying. Vinayak sir? Vinayak sir, do you want to try? Vinayak sir or Ganesh sir?
It is. Am I audible, ma'am?
So one person at a
Can
time.
anyone listen me?
I can hear you, Vinayak sir. If you want to respond, please go ahead.
Yeah, I want to speak.
Yes.
As someone told that stories are important in what we say the moral values should learn by the stories, and also the interest of the small children.
Correct.
Keeping them with their family, and also they respect their grandparents and love. So stories are so important. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you so much. Thanks for your response. Ganesh sir.
Yes, stories are a great source of entertainment, and instead of watching TVs and mobiles, it is good for kids to listen stories from their grandparents. Actually, I also like at that time when I was a kid to listen stories from my grandmother, and it is good for the bonding of relations.
Absolutely.
Yes, therefore it is good for those things.
Thank you. Okay, so a lot of you shared that it's important for moral values or inculcating good values. Like some people also said, it's a good entertainment for children. Telling stories is a very common thing where grandparents share stories with their grandchildren. I also feel that even today, when I am this old, I am ready to hear stories from the older people of my grandparents' age, because it's very interesting to know what kind of life they have led, right? So it's also very interesting to know what details they have to share. Some things are not there right now, which used to be there during their times. So it's very interesting to hear such kind of stories. Bhairanath sir is saying she invests her time in good thoughts and thinking. Okay. Sheetal Ram is saying it's nice form of entertainment, plays an important role in education of moral values. It builds up bond, correct. It builds up the bond. Most of useful information and things are learned by this activity, correct. So storytelling is one very good way of interesting other people and engaging them. It develops interest in learning. It develops listening skill. Grandfather and kids improve their interaction. Yes, enhances listening skill. Wonderful. Okay, so now coming to the third question. Who tells you stories in your family and how do they make you feel? Like I said, stories are not just for children or students, they're also for adults. So I would also like to ask you, is there anybody in your family who tells you stories? Stories as in their life experiences or anything that's relevant to their life. It might not be a story like we tell children. Yes, Ganesh sir.
Yes, as usual, I said earlier that my grandmother was told me stories, and I feel really very happy while listening those stories. It At that time, my grandmother was my role model for that thing. Every night, I ask her to tell me stories, and every day she had new stories for me, and
Great.
it is a really interesting time or interesting time spent with my grandmother, and it feels me happy. It's very joyful for us.
Very nice. Yes, thank you so much. A lot of people are also responding in the chat box. Kavita ma'am, do you want to share something? I think you are not audible. Can you try again? I can see you've unmuted, but we can't hear you, Kavita ma'am. So just try again. Otherwise, you can just type it out in the chat box. Okay, so Kavita ma'am is saying, mummy, papa, friend, teacher, everybody tells you stories. Sometimes stories also take form of gossip or updates from your life. So those are also your life stories. Grandmother, Seema ma'am says grandmothers tell stories. Sheetal ma'am says, my mother regarding her day, today's life incidents, friends in the form of gossips. Exactly. Poonam ma'am is saying my father, Madhura ma'am saying grandparents. So lot of people in our family share their stories. And how do they make you feel? That was the second follow-up question. Ganesh sir said it makes them feel happy. So how does it make you feel? Listening to stories. Yes.
Some apps are also developed for learning stories.
Correct. True. Right. That has now taken
And they interestly make the stories to that we can interestly heard it.
Correct. So now grandparents' place is slowly taken by some apps like Alexa is there, or another AI generated stories are also there. So that's also true. Technology is slowly coming in. Madhura ma'am is saying it feels like getting connected to the past. Absolutely. It makes you feel nostalgic. So nostalgic is one word that you can use, which takes you back in time. So I'm just putting the word in the chat box. It makes you feel nostalgic. My mom tells thrilling life stories. Oh, wonderful. So there are a lot of stories in the family itself and they make you feel right? Coming to the next question. In what ways is the ancestral house in this passage similar to or different from other homes described in other stories that you have read? So you must have read stories, or you must have read books, or you must have seen movies, or you must have seen houses actually. So ह्या गोष्टीमधलं जे घर त्यांनी डिस्क्राईब केलं होतं ते तुम्ही पाहिलेल्या किंवा ऐकलेल्या किंवा वाचलेल्या घरांपेक्षा कसं वेगळं आहे किंवा कसं सिमिलर आहे असं तुम्हाला जाणवलं का? So she is telling a lot of things that we have a big house and there is a veranda. She's explaining different parts of the house. So do you find any connection to something that you've previously seen or heard or read somewhere? Yes, Sheetal ma'am. Sheetal ma'am, you can unmute.
In spite of all the all the explanations regarding house and all, what difference I found that being in patriarchic society, there is I noted the thing that the narrator was saying, my brother helps in the kitchen. That was the different thing what I noted, which
Correct.
gives us the gender equality and which is very different, and I found it interesting in this story.
Okay, great. Okay, any more responses? Anybody else wants to respond? You can also type in the chat box. So when you listen to the audio, you quickly get a picture of the house in front of your eyes because maybe you have seen similar houses. तुम्ही जर का अशी पिढीजात जी मोठी घरं असतात ती पाहिली असतील, so when you listen to the audio you quickly visualize that kind of a house, a big house, किंवा ज्याला आपण वाडा म्हणतो तसं आपल्या डोळ्यासमोर उभं राहतं, right? So this story or this narration also connects you to something that you've earlier seen somewhere in your life. Okay, coming to the last question. In many parts of the world, people live with extended families. What are the advantages and challenges of such arrangements? So extended family means joint family. So what do you think are advantages or challenges living in such arrangements? We are going to quickly go to the chat box and type our responses. If not chat box, we can raise our hands and then I can ask you to unmute. What do you think, living in a joint big family like the narrator's family, is it good, bad? What are the advantages of it, or what are disadvantages or challenges in living such an arrangement? Yes, Archana ma'am, just a minute. Yes, you can unmute now.
Okay, good afternoon all. The advantage of extended family. The most important thing is there is, and this is most important thing in this age. Also, in extended family, family members are connected with each other emotionally, and they share their thoughts with their family members.
Okay.
And they for the emotional depression, to get rid of emotional depression, it is important. So I think this is the most greatest advantage of extended family. And talking about the disadvantage, in extended family, every family members follows the rules of the head of the family. But sometimes what happen, every time it is not comfortable for each family member. So there are some disagreements in between them, and it creates arguments. And therefore, it is, I think, this is the only disadvantage of extended family. Otherwise, I think there are many advantages more than disadvantages of extended family.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. Okay, so like ma'am said that there are more advantages than disadvantages, and a lot of people have been putting advantages. Like you said, there are a lot of people who are saying that it's a good thing to have a joint family. I'm also going to ask Sunil sir. Sunil sir has raised his hand. One response we'll take before we move ahead.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, sir, you're audible.
Okay, good afternoon to you all of you. In extended family, there are a lot of advantages. Like in nuclear family, means both of the parents cannot give time to their children. So in extended family, so their grandfather, grandmother, they can give time to their granddaughters, grandchildren, and also they told a lot of stories. So with the help of stories, we learn different things. Actually, while learning any language, stories are the most important way, because with the help of stories, there are emotions, there are other things included in that. So we learn any language more faster with the help of stories. So that is the most advantage. And if you tell our children stories in English, so they can learn English language in faster way as compared to other ways. And also, while telling stories, if we use a lot of emotions, actions, then that would be beneficial to learners, because that meaning of the sentence or words go directly inside to their brain.
Okay.
So,
and any challenges?
And challenges. Challenges means actually in extended families. So if you want to give some or discipline or any other things, so that could be the challenge. Because thinking of parents are different and thinking of the grandmother or grandmother, their thinking is different. So to cope with that is the challenge.
Got it. Thank you so much. Thanks, Vinsa. So a lot of people have been saying similar points in the chat box that living together is definitely advantageous, but then some people are also saying that a lot of people staying together leads to having a lot of opinions in the house that might lead to arguments. And then somebody also said that sometimes it might be good, but sometimes staying separate or staying in a smaller family might also work. So there are a lot of different kinds of opinions on this particular question. Okay, but most of us think that living in a joint family is good for the relationships people share with each other, and it's also good for children to grow up in a joint family, right? Okay, now we have completed this exercise. I want you all to look at the questions, and what we are going to do is you can figure out a pattern in the questions. ते प्रश्न कशा प्रकारचे आहेत ते थोडंसं बघायचंय. For example, first question, it is a very factual question whose answer is there in the audio, right? So first question is a factual question. ती एक fact आहे ज्याचं उत्तर त्या passage मध्ये होतं, audio मध्ये होतं. I'm going to request you to look at all the 5 questions and see if you find some kind of pattern or if you find that the questions of different types are given here, right? So वेगवेगळ्या प्रकारचे प्रश्न दिलेले आहेत. Can you identify what kind of questions are these? Or say last question, for example, it was a question where everybody had to share their opinion and there were different answers from everybody, but all the answers were correct, we can say, right? So do you want to share anything about the types of questions that we have selected here? Now we are thinking from a teacher's perspective. Look at the questions and see if you think there are differences in the way of asking the questions. We'll just spend 30 more seconds. If there are no responses, we are going to go ahead and explain you how this is designed. But before that, if you have any observations, if you observe the questions carefully, do you think there's some kind of progression to the questions? Okay. There I have 2 responses from familiar to unfamiliar. Okay. Instead of first, other are okay. The first one is factual, other are interpretive type questions. Okay. Easy to hard. Okay. Vinayak sir wants to say something. Yes, sir.
Can you listen me?
Yes.
Hello?
Yes, sir, I can hear you.
There are many questions asked on the audio script. Some questions are personal response type questions, interpretation type questions, and some questions are depend on the what is the passage audio script.
Correct.
Questions are different questions and answers must be variable. So,
Yes, ma'am. Some questions are informative questions.
Thank you.
Oh,
Hello.
okay. Just a minute. Yes, ma'am. Yes, Archana.
Okay. One question is informative question. I think more than one question are informative.
Okay.
And the last question is open-ended question because there are many types of answers.
Okay. All right. Now we will actually see what different kinds of questions these were. Since we are talking about questioning for English comprehension, we wanted to introduce different categories of questions. So whenever you teach a short story or short lesson from the textbook in your class, there are different kinds of questions that can be asked, right? So somebody has rightly said that some are open-ended, some are close-ended. So these are different categories of questions. And what we have done is we have selected one question from each category. So on the next slide, and again we go to the next slide, I'm going to show you what types of questions we have picked. So if you see, you have correctly told me first is the factual question. What time does the family have dinner? याचं एकच उत्तर आहे जे त्या passage मध्ये आहे. So there is only one correct answer for this question. In the second question, it's an open-ended question where you can say anything, and I mean you have to think and connect it to your understanding. So it's an interpretive question. Why do you think the grandfather stories are important to the narrator? So this is a reasoning type of question where the student will think about something and give a correct answer. There can be more than one correct answers in the second question. Coming to the third category, it's text to reader. Text म्हणजे जे आपण वाचतोय किंवा ऐकतोय. For now, we are not going to say text. We are going to say audio clip because we listened to something. So text to reader means you are connecting the reader, that is you all are connecting yourself to the audio or the chapter or lesson from the textbook. So who tells you stories in your family and how they make you feel? This is where the reader is connecting yourself to the text. Okay? Fourth category is text to text. Something that is given in today's lesson, you are connecting it to some other story or some other text that you have read in the past, right? So in what ways is the ancestral house in this passage similar to or different from other homes described in other stories that you have read? So suppose you say today you are reading some Akbar Birbal story and the child has already read similar story in, say, the first semester. You connect the today's story to the previously read story. So you are building a connection between today's story and some other story. So that is text to text question. And last type is text to word question, where it's a personal response. Like most of you have guessed it correctly. We are thinking about something that's happening around the world, right? So the person or the child or the student is responding to something where they are connecting the text. So the concept of joint family or extended family is from the text or from the audio, and we are connecting it to the world. So we are asking, how do you feel about it? Do you think there are advantages and challenges? So this is a text to world questions. Okay. So these are the different categories of questions we are going to look at today. ह्याच्यात कोणाला काही अडचण किंवा डाऊट असेल तर you can just ask me in the chat box that this is not clear. As we move ahead, I'll again explain you about this, and I think things will be clearer then. Okay. I'm going to request to not annotate on the screen, please. Yeah, okay. So we are going to move ahead. If you have any questions, just hold them towards the end of the session. We can have the questions. So these are 5 categories. First is factual questions. Second is open-ended questions. Then text to reader. म्हणजे जी व्यक्ती वाचतीये धडा किंवा गोष्ट त्याच्याशी related. Text to text, building connection between 2 different stories, and text to world, something that's happening in the text, connecting it to the outside world, right? So these are the 5 categories. Can we move ahead? So this is just a table where it explains what each question stands for, right? So you can just have a look at all these 5 categories. I'm also going to share this when I share the presentation and the handout. So you'll have time to look at all these things. So these are different. These are, by the way, there are more categories. आणखीनही प्रकारचे प्रश्न काढता येतात. But for today's session, since we have time limit and we have to decide a scope of the session, we have chosen only these 5 categories of questions, right? Next. Coming to the speaking part, we have a very interesting activity. What we are going to do is, we are going to look at these words. There are 10 words on the screen. And this is a very fun activity that you can do in the classroom. What you have to do is, you will be given the answer for the questions. For example, I have given you the word Amitabh Bachchan. So Amitabh Bachchan has to be the answer. So to get the answer Amitabh Bachchan, what kind of questions will I ask? So I have taken out like 3 questions. Who hosts the show KBC? Which actor is also known as Big B? And who is Abhishek Bachchan's father? या 3ही प्रश्नांचं उत्तर अमिताभ बच्चन, right? So now we are going to like choose one word and you are going to post questions in the chat box. Questions should be such that the answer is the given word or the phrase. Shall we begin? Let's try out the first one. If you need some help, we can again go back and see how we do. Okay. So the first one is Wednesday. You have to design a question whose answer is Wednesday. Please respond in the chat box. In the interest of time, we will not take responses orally. We will just use the chat box to respond. असा प्रश्न बनवायचा आहे ज्याचं उत्तर Wednesday असेल. Okay, when is your birthday? Okay, probably somebody's birthday is on Wednesday. Which day is tomorrow? Which day is after Tuesday? Perfect. What day is after Tuesday? What day is today? Which day comes after Tuesday? Okay. Anything else? Which day comes before Thursday? Perfect. Okay. Perfect. So now, when do you sleep? Okay. Somebody might be sleeping every day. So that's not a very valid question. But which day comes after Tuesday and which day comes before Thursday? Or which is the third working day of the week can also be one question, right? So that all the questions lead to the answer Wednesday. Second one, at night. At night. असं उत्तर यायला हवं असेल तर काय प्रश्न विचाराल? Which is the middle day in the week. Okay. At night is the next prompt. When do you go to sleep? Okay, perfect. When do you say good night? Very nice. When do you go to bed daily? When we listen a sad story. Okay, we listen to story. Sorry. Yesterday when you go to sleep. No. So you don't have to, Kavita ma'am, you don't have to ask a question. You have to design a question. When you can see the moon and stars in the sky. Okay, perfect. When do you listen to the story? Okay. When do you go to watch TV? When do you have dinner? Okay, perfect. Next question. Next phrase. Now this is a phrase. This is not a word. The phrase is every day after work. Every day after work. So probably students can't answer this. This is designed for teachers. So I've put work. If you want to do it for students, you can say every day after school. So today's phrase is every day after work. When do we rest? Okay. Bade sir is saying when do we rest? Okay, when do we rest is one type. When do you feel relaxed? When do you play? When do you drink tea? Very, very relatable. You drink tea after completing all the work. When do you complete homework? When do you watch your mobile? Definitely not during working hours. When do you exercise? When do you get to relax? When do you rest? Perfect. Okay, going to the next question. Home. Home. When do you listen to music? When do you see a movie? Great. चौथा आपला शब्द आहे home. Please design a question. Rajeshri ma'am, where is your home? Will not fit. This will not fit because the answer will not come as home. We want home as answer. So where do humans live? Where do you live? Home. Okay. Which is the synonym of house? Very interesting. Which is your most comfortable place? Very nice. Happiest comfort zone? Very nice. Where do you live? Where do you live with your parents? Okay. Where do you sleep? Okay, perfect. Where do you go? Where do you go daily after work? Perfect. Okay. Next one. 12. 12. How many hands in the clock? Okay, clock has 3 hands. So Vinod sir, you might have to change the question. A clock has usually 3 hands, a second, minute, and hour. How many months in a year? What is 10 plus 2? Very interesting. How many numbers in the clock? Okay, that makes sense. Which degree you complete after 10th? How many hours are there in the day? How many months? Okay. How many bananas in a dozen? Perfect. Great. Great. Perfect. Okay. Next is Pune. 6th one is Pune. Please design a question to get the answer as Pune. Where is Shaniwar Wada? Where do you live? Which is the smart city in Maharashtra? Which is the biggest education hub? You'll have to say something like in India or in Maharashtra. Where do you stay? Tell me the name of your district, which is the cultural city, which is the cultural capital of Maharashtra. Interesting. Where is diet? Diet is in different districts. So we can't say it's only from Pune, but then you can say where is diet Pune? It's the popular education. Okay. Where is Lal Mahal? Where is Saraswat? Which city is recognized as cultural capital? Great. Okay. Lot of questions coming in for Pune. Where is Magarpatta city? So you can just pick any location and ask where is this, right? So Sarasbagh or Shaniwar Wada, Tulshi Bagh, like a lot of people are saying. Great. Okay. 7th, cake and flowers. Cake and flowers. Cake and flowers. What are you going to bring on her birthday? Oh, where do you see Puneri party? Interesting. What should I bring to your birthday? So since it's one of the articles is cake, a lot of people might think of birthdays, right? Or celebration, correct? What do you expect on your birthday? What did you get for your child? How do you celebrate your special one's day? Which things are needed at the time of birthday party? Perfect. Great. Okay, so a lot of people are relating it with birthday or celebration. Perfect. 8th one, Sholay. The movie Sholay. When I put it, I meant the movie Sholay. In which film is the song Ye Dosti? Okay. Which movie has the character Gabbar? Okay. Which is the national movie of India? Is it a national movie? I don't know, Mohini ma'am. Kitne aadmi the? Amitabh Bachchan's famous movie. Which is the famous movie of Amitabh Bachchan? Okay. In which movie there is Basanti? Great. Okay. A lot of answers coming in about the characters, the songs, and everything. Okay. Have you watched famous films of Amitabh Bachchan? Great. Okay. Ye haath mujhe de de Gabbar. Okay. Next one. 9th one is yes. The word yes. Do you like apple? Which is your favorite? Okay. Okay, we are going to the 9th prompt, which is yes. Do you want to come with me? Do you like fruits? Are you human? Do you like to speak English? Are you ready for tag? Yes. Do you like yourself? Opposite word for no. Are you a tag coordinator? Do you have extra clothes? Very interesting. Do you like tea? Do you like teaching? Can you dance? Do you like tag meetings? Are you responsible for it? Are you reading chats? I am definitely reading chats. Do you have a pen? Interesting. Okay, great. A variety of questions you've got for it, and it's a very simple answer, I think. So you can ask anything. All right. Are you an honest person? I am. I believe I am an honest person. Okay, I do love my profession. Are you okay? I am assuming these questions are intended towards me, so I'm going to answer those. Yes, yes is the answer for everything. Last question, next year. Last, I mean the word. Okay, next year. Oh, when are you getting married? When are you going to Europe tour? When are you going to conduct tag meeting? Next year, sir, ma'am, next month I'm going to conduct it again. We don't have to wait for next year. When are you resigning tag membership? Sir, you're doing well. Ganesh sir, you are so active in the tag meetings. Please don't do that. When do you visit America? Okay. Okay, when do you go to Pune? All right. When are we going to beach? I think everybody is like close to the end of the year and they just want to go for vacations, it seems. Everybody is planning trips outside of Pune and even foreign destinations. Great. Okay, thank you so much. I'm not going to read any more responses. It was a very wonderful, engaging activity. So it was so engaging with you. Think about it when you will do it with students. They are very excited to do this. So this is one small activity where you can ask teachers, or sorry, you can ask the students to frame questions, right? So this is another skill that you can practice with students. आधीच्या भागामध्ये आता जी आधीची लिसनिंगची ऍक्टिव्हिटी होती, there we saw how teachers can ask different kinds of questions. This activity is especially for students where they will make different kinds of questions, so it will also improve their questioning skills. I hope it was a very fun activity for everybody. I am really excited to see all the responses and your participation. So I hope you like the activity. Do try it out with your students in the classroom. Like I said, you will have to make slight changes. Like third one is every day after work. For students, you can make every day after school. Or anything that you want to take up. You want to take up certain vocabulary from the lesson, please do that. I have taken very easy everyday words. If you want to address certain words from the lesson or certain important words that you have covered in that particular week, you please go ahead and choose those words. So this does not have to go on for like 30 minutes or the entire period. You can just have 5 or 10 minute slots and you do it like a rapid fire. Rapid fire means pata-pata uttar द्यायची मुलांनी, and then you just keep going ahead. So this is a very small, quick activity. It helps the children to get excited about learning. So you can just definitely try it out in your class someday, right? All right, going to the next part. Like I said, speaking मध्ये आपण learning by speaking मध्ये we are going to do a lot of discussions. So there will be questions appearing on the slide one by one. And as teachers, I want to know what do you think about all of these things, right? So let's just look at the first question. And as we go ahead, you are allowed to unmute yourself. I mean, raise your hand so that we can unmute and go ahead. Can we show the first question? Do you ask questions in the classroom? तुम्ही तुमच्या वर्गामध्ये प्रश्न विचारता? Yes, you are going to raise your hands, okay, or respond in the chat box. Okay, yes, a lot of people are saying yes. So the answer has to be yes or no because the question is, do you ask? So a lot of people are saying yes. Second question. Which type of questions do you ask? Do these questions always have only one correct answer? तुम्ही कोणत्या प्रकारचे प्रश्न विचारता त्या प्रश्नांना कायम एकच बरोबर उत्तर असतं असे प्रश्न विचारता का? Or are there any other types? If there are any other types, let me know. Okay, thought-provoking questions. No, so you don't ask only questions which have one correct answer. Some people are saying yes, some people are saying no. Frequent, okay, yes. So a lot of people are saying ki we ask questions ज्याला फक्त एकच बरोबर उत्तर असतं. Okay. Let's go ahead. Next question. Yes, MCQs are that kind of questions. Archana ma'am is saying MCQs. MCQs are these kind of questions where they have only one correct answer. When do you ask questions? Before the lesson, during the lesson, or after the lesson, or during all the three times? Okay, Reena ma'am is saying I will ask the questions which have variety in answers. Okay. तुम्ही questions कधी विचारता? In between, before the lesson, before beginning some chapter, after, or all the times? So a lot of people are saying all the times. All three times. Okay. Any other responses? All the times. Okay. So before, during, and after. Next question. Do you ask questions whose answers can be found in the lessons? असे प्रश्न विचारता का ज्याची उत्तरं धड्यामध्ये सापडतात? Okay, so everybody uses this particular type of questions whose answers can be found in the chapter. Oh, Jayashree ma'am is saying no. Some people are saying no. Okay. Depends on the situation. Yeah, sometimes you do ask, sometimes you don't ask. Okay, all the time. Okay. No, yes, no, mixed answers. Next question. Are students able to answer the questions? Sometimes yes, sometimes no. Okay, I'm now going to ask you to unmute yourself. I also want you to think, do students answer the questions? Some people are saying sometimes yes and sometimes no. If no, why are they not able to answer the questions? So आतापर्यंत आपण जे प्रश्न पाहिले एक तर असं होतं वर्गामध्ये, lot of teachers tend to ask questions only those which are given after the lesson. When I was in school, my teacher used to ask questions which are only given below at the end of the chapter. So we ask those questions, and then we used to go back to the lesson and underline the line which has the answer. So lot of teachers do practice this method. स्वतःचे प्रश्न न काढता पुस्तकामध्ये पाठ्यपुस्तकात जे प्रश्न आहेत तेच विचारणे ही एक कॉमन प्रॅक्टिस आहे. So this is a speaking activity, so you have to unmute yourself and speak. So one important question that I want to ask is, दोन्ही बाजूनी प्रश्न विचारले जातात का? मुलंही तुम्हाला विचारतात, तुम्ही मुलांना विचारता, असं होतं का? And then I also wanted to ask you that do you give students chance to talk about their own answers? If you are saying that you do not ask only factual questions, what kind of questions do you ask? Can anybody unmute and speak about this? I just want to know, how do you do questioning in the classroom? आपण पुढे जाण्या अगोदर मला हे समजून घ्यायचं की तुम्ही तुमच्या वर्गामध्ये प्रश्न उत्तर कशी कंडक्ट करता, and what are some of your observations or even challenges, or are there some best practices in your classroom that you have developed? Since this is learning by speaking, I'm going to ask you to unmute and speak. We are going to come back to the Zoom meeting and unmute ourselves if you want to talk. Ganesh sir, I'm going to ask you to unmute. Ganesh sir has been speaking since the beginning of the session. I would also request other teachers to please participate in the session. Yes, Ganesh sir.
Okay. we ask questions to the student at the start of the lesson because we have to know that what is the knowledge or previous knowledge of students about the lesson, and as well as we are asking questions to the student in between the lesson
Okay.
to know that they clear their concept about that topic or not. Therefore, it is must to ask them question in between the lesson, and at the end also we have to ask questions to the students because whatever they get from that lesson, is that the correct or not? And every type of questions, yes no type or about their thinking over that topic or about their ideas about that topic. There are many type of questions we have to ask to the students during the lesson.
Okay. And these are not all from the textbook. You also make your own questions, right? Okay. Anybody else who wants to share? What kind of questions do you ask? Are the students always able to answer it? So, एक असं पण आहे की as a teacher, asking good questions is a really good practice. But sometimes it takes time for your students to get into that practice, right? So कधी कधी तुमच्या मुलांना त्याची सवय व्हायला वेळ लागते, right? So share that also how your students respond to it. Yes. Deepak sir, I have asked you to unmute. You can just share.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon.
I used to ask the question before teaching because the question is about the lesson. And before asking the question, I want them to come across the answers which I want to ask them.
Sir, your voice is breaking. Can you mute and unmute again? Your voice is breaking. Can you try speaking again? Hello? Okay. While More sir is trying to figure it out, I'm going to ask Rupali ma'am to unmute herself.
Good afternoon, ma'am. I want to share one of the activity of related to the questioning. While taking in lower class, while taking myself.
Rupali ma'am, you're not audible. I'm just going to try again. Yes, can you unmute yourself now?
Hello. Am I audible?
Unfortunately, we can't hear. I think you will have to type in the chat box. Sheetal ma'am.
Hello. Am I audible?
Am I not able to hear because I'm not able to hear anything? Is it just me?
Am I audible?
Yeah, Aishwarya ma'am, you are audible. Sheetal ma'am is speaking.
Hello. As you asked for what are the obstacles or difficulties while answering the questions regarding students.
I think there's some issue from my end. Just give me a minute. I'll just reconnect because I'm not able to hear anything.
I can't answer. Please keep
Sheetal ma'am, just a minute. I'm not able to hear you.
Students.
Yes, I can hear now. Hello? Vilas sir, are you talking?
Yes, ma'am. The listening by speaking is also very important in the process of the questionnaire to the student as well as the teachers. And Are you listening? Hello? Hello?
Yes, sir, your voice is audible.
Okay. I am asking question to the students to check out the previous knowledge of the student, and after completion of my task, then I ask the question. In the middle time, I ask the question to the student, and there is a responding from the students to me, and student also ask the questions to me. Means this is very beneficial part in the process of listening by speaking. In according to me, this is very important for the student as well as the teachers. Okay.
I think Aishwarya ma'am have some connectivity issue. She will join soon. We can have another. Yes, Sheetal ma'am. Can we wait for Aishwarya ma'am to rejoin? Hello, Aishwarya ma'am.
Okay, sorry for that. I was not able to hear, but I can hear you clearly now. And I got to hear a few responses before I logged off. But then I understood what you said, that there should be chance for the students to express what they feel in the classroom, and you ask different kind of questions in the classroom, right? Anybody else who wants to share anything else right now? I'm not able to see raise hands because I'm not a co-host anymore. Sana, if you can see anybody raising the hands, please ask them to unmute.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, Sheetal ma'am, you want to speak? Yes.
Am I audible?
Yes, you are audible.
So, as you asked for what are the obstacles regarding your students, while answering the question, I can say there is sometimes there is lack of understanding or comprehension of the topic. There may be the fear of giving wrong answer,
Absolutely.
shyness, etc., or the attention factor in the class, or there may be some anxiety because of speaking in front of others. The questions can be poorly worded. Sometimes teacher also lack of skill of questioning correctly. There
Right.
might be the lack of confidence, or these are the obstacles. So for that, what as a teacher we can do, that we can ask the clear and clear questions to the students, so that when we ask the well structured questions, they are understandable more properly. We have to create the supportive environment for the students, so that they can give the answers confidently. I used to ask the various kind of questions, like open-ended, multiple choice, higher order thinking, etc. And we also have to give the individualized support.
Okay.
That any extra help is needed or what, so that
Got
they can answer properly.
We'll take one.
10 मिनिटं 5 मिनिटं उत्तर चेक करून घ्या आदला बदली करून
Can you mute?
उत्तर
Aishwarya ma'am, you are mute.
Sorry. Can you display all the questions? There's 7 questions, just one more question. Before Pramila ma'am, you answer, there are a few more questions, couple of questions on that slide. Why do you think questioning is important? What skill does it develop? So ह्या 2 प्रश्नांचा आपण विचार करूयात की प्रश्न विचारणं गरजेचं का आहे आणि कोणत्या प्रकारची स्किल्स डेव्हलप होतात. सो लॉट ऑफ पीपल हॅव बीन सेइंग हायर ऑर्डर थिंकिंग स्किल्स. So we will also think what skill does questioning develop in the students and why questioning is important, right? Pramila ma'am, if you want to share, you can please unmute and share whatever you want to say. Pramila ma'am, yeah.
Hello.
Yes.
Ma'am, if the student does not give me proper answer, I think that particular part is not understand clearly by me 100%. Then I will teach it again. I think so. I think so.
Got it. Okay,
It's
thank you so
okay.
much. So one part that everybody has said is that it gives you check for understanding. मुलांना कळतंय की नाही हे तुम्हाला as a शिक्षक, it's as a teacher, it's essential to know if the students are understanding what you are teaching. So when you ask different kinds of questions, you can also get to know if the child is following what you're teaching. So that's one important thing why you should ask questions. Another important thing why you should ask questions is when you ask different kinds of questions on one particular paragraph, the student goes back to the paragraph and tries to read and understand it. So today's session name is questioning for reading comprehension. So comprehension किंवा meaning making साठी प्रश्न विचारणं का गरजेचं आहे? तुम्ही वेगवेगळे प्रश्न जेव्हा विचारता तेव्हा मुलं पुन्हा पुन्हा तो धडा वाचून समजून घेण्याचा प्रयत्न करतात. So that's one important thing that this entire session we want to convey. When you ask different kinds of questions, the students think about the text. तुम्ही फक्त factual प्रश्न विचारले, if you ask only the questions whose answers are directly given in the text, they will not try to understand the lesson. They will only read it, find the answers. And children are very smart. They know where to look for answers. So they'll only give you that part of the answer and they will not read or understand the text. But when you ask different kinds of questions where the student has to make different kinds of connections, they are compelled, they are forced, or we push them to go back to the lesson and read and understand it, right? So जेव्हा तुम्ही प्रश्न विचारता त्याच्यामुळे ही सगळी स्किल्स डेव्हलप होतात. थिंकिंग स्किल लाईक युअर सीइंग स्पीकिंग प्रॅक्टिस, थिंकिंग प्रॅक्टिस, कम्युनिकेशन स्किल, thinking power, confidence, all these are valid points. So all these are very important points when it comes to questioning. Somebody also said that when a teacher asks the question, the students don't understand. Now you tell me what you think. I'm giving you a situation. Suppose I am an English teacher. I ask the question in English. The student gives me the correct answer for that question, but the student does not answer in English. Is this comprehension? मी एक प्रश्न विचारला, धडा शिकवला, एक प्रश्न विचारला, मुलांना त्याचं उत्तर देता आलं, पण ते इंग्रजीत नाही देता आलं, मराठीत देता आलं. Is this English comprehension? Comprehension होतंय का? What will you say? Yes. Okay. A lot of people are saying yes. If somebody does not agree, you can also disagree. Okay. I'm going to repeat my questions. There are only 4 responses. I want to know what everybody thinks. I am asking a question in English. The child understands the question and responds to the question correctly, but maybe he or she responds in Hindi or Marathi or any other or mixed language. Say they're using a bilingual communication. Thoda tutak English वापरत उत्तर दिलं, but the answer fits to the question. Is this a case of comprehension? Okay, great. Good to know that everybody agrees that this is comprehension, right? So comprehension का meaning making केव्हा होतं? When the child answers relating to the question. प्रश्न काय हे कळून तो समजून घेऊन त्याला related coherent उत्तर देणं म्हणजे comprehension आहे. So it's a comprehension skill. Speaking skill is different. I am not saying that you should encourage students to speak in Marathi. You definitely push them to speak in English. But at least if they are at this stage that they understand what you're speaking in English and are giving appropriate answers, that's also okay. We want to reach a stage where students completely understand the English question and answer in fluent English sentences. That is our ultimate goal. But then even if the student is able to understand the question which is asked in English, that's enough for now, right? So that shows that the child is comprehending. And the seventh question, what skills it develop? It definitely develops English skills. English भाषेचे skills नक्की develop होतात, but then it also develops other higher order thinking skills, right? Reasoning, critical thinking, analytical thinking. किंवा कोणीतरी वरती म्हणालेलं पण आहे आता, क्युरिओसिटी, जनरेट्स क्युरिओसिटी, एक्सप्लोरिंग आयडियाज. So all these things are also covered in questions. Questioning is not only for English language. You can ask questions in different language. हे प्रत्येक विषयासाठीच बरोबर आहे that you generate curiosity by asking questions. Similar applies to a language. So you ask a lot of questions which gets the student thinking about something. So if you remember all those categories which we saw in the beginning of the session, text to text, text to reader, the child is building connections and trying to find the answers, right? So questioning is definitely important in the classroom, not just the questions given in at the end of the chapter, but any kind of questions that the teacher thinks are important, you can ask that kind of questions. More so, it is important to ask questions which do not have one correct answer. असे जास्तीत जास्त प्रश्न विचारा ज्याची एक पेक्षा अधिक बरोबर उत्तर आहेत. इफ यू थिंक मॅथ्सच्या वर्गामध्ये एकच बरोबर उत्तर ऍक्सेप्टेबल असतं, पण जेव्हा आपण भाषेचा विचार करतो, आस्क दोज काइंड ऑफ क्वेश्चन्स वेअर द चाइल्ड गेट्स टू एक्सप्रेस देअर opinions, feelings, emotions, which are valid, which are acceptable in the classroom, right? So there should be a scope for reasoning when they answer, right? So through all these, we can develop a good technique in the classroom and best practices in the classroom where the child feels very confident to speak in front of the teacher. काही वर्गांमध्ये असं वातावरण असतं जिथं मुलं घाबरतात. Lot of teachers also say children are scared to talk in front of teachers, or the children are scared to talk in English. They know the answer, but they think, "अरे माझं चुकलं तर काय?" So that is also one thing that plays a very important role, making the child feel comfortable. मुलांना comfortable कसं वाटेल ह्याचा पण थोडासा विचार करणं गरजेचं आहे. So all these were some of the questions that might have got you thinking. I have also asked different kinds of questions in the speaking section. Now we will go ahead. We will go to the reading part of it. This is the article, first part of the article. I'm going to request anybody to volunteer, to raise your hands. Probably somebody who has not talked. आत्तापर्यंत ज्यांनी आत्ता काही बोलले नाहीयेत आत्तापर्यंत. Okay, Sumit sir, you can go ahead. Sana, can you? Yeah. Sumit sir, you are unmute. You can just read out the passage.
Am I audible, ma'am?
Yes, you are audible.
The use of questioning in classroom plays a crucial role in assessing students' understanding of text. In many Indian classrooms, questions often focus on simple recall, such as who, what, and where, with a single correct answer. Many times, answers to these questions are dictated by teachers or written on the board and copied down by the students. If you observe questions asked in the exams, often the answers written are memorized from classroom notes. More than assessing students' comprehension, these questions inquire students to recall the facts they have read in a text. Teachers can ask a variety of questions, some of which require deeper thinking by their students. Limiting classroom questions to those with a single correct answer trains students to only extract factual information from the text. We end up depriving them of experiences that compel them to think deeply, extend a story, critically analyze hypotheses, or imagine, build personal connections, and so on, which contribute significantly to their engagement with and deeper comprehension of the text.
Yes, thank you so much. So there are some points which I have highlighted, and you might also agree this is a very common practice where students learn the answer. That's also because sometimes in the exam you need to score and you need to get the answers right. So I have also done that. Every student does that. At some point in time, we have memorized a lot of answers, I think. So that's one practice which is also essential. Memorizing is also a good skill to have. But then it should not always be based on recalling the facts. Recalling the facts म्हणजे फक्त बरोबर उत्तर आठवून ते लिहिणं इतकंच न ठेवता, we should also do something which promotes deeper thinking, in which the second paragraph mentions about deeper thinking. there should be some questions or some part where the students require to think deep. And when we ask such kind of questions, the students start thinking differently. They extend the story. Suppose you say that you read out just one part of a story, not from the textbook. Maybe you can get a new storybook from the library. You read out only the 3/4 or half part of the story, and then you say, now you extend the story. आता ह्याच्या पुढे काय होईल सांगा बरं, काय वाटतंय तुम्हाला? So every child will have their own version of a story. So they will think on their own independently to extend that story. Or then critical analysis, like we also discussed earlier, critically analyze करतील मुलं. Hypothesize or imagine. You can also ask a question like prediction. So suppose इथपर्यंत गोष्टीत हे झालंय. Now guess what will happen next? Or sometimes there is some climax जसा असतो movie मध्ये, तसा story मध्ये there is some turning point. So you can pause for some time and then you can ask the students, what do you think, what will happen next? So they have to predict something what will happen next. And then building personal connections. Now, in the earlier audio clip, you said that yes, we can connect with it because we are a part of a large family or extended family. Or maybe you can say, I have lived in both extended family setting and a nuclear family setting. So building personal connections, and students do that. A lot of times we think that students are so young, they probably cannot make all these connections, but students are very, very observant. They are constantly receiving things and inputs from everywhere. They do very good connections. So for example, in some parts where we work, the students come from a tribal background and they spend most of the time on their farms, or their parents are farmers. So students make very nice connections when you ask such questions, because they have experience. They sometimes help their parents on the farms. They know what kind of instruments are used in the farms, what kind of crops are grown throughout the year, what are the best ways to store the crop. So all these things they are already aware. त्यांच्याकडे खूप काय म्हणतात ज्ञानाचा साठा आहे. So you can also ask questions where they build personal connections, right? So all of this, if you pay attention to the last sentences, हे सगळं केल्याने काय होणार आहे? There will be better engagement. Students will be involved in what you are teaching, and they are going to deeply comprehend the text. Meaning making is going to be very high in such kind of activities, right? When there's a lot of discussion in the classroom, students understand the stories better, right? So if there's anything that you want to share around this, you can please raise your hands. ह्या slide वरती तुम्हाला काही सांगायचंय का? That any interesting experience that you quickly remember that you want to share? Maybe you, as teachers, you have tons of experiences, so you can also share some incident that reminds you of this, where students are capable of thinking very differently and responsibly. If you have any experience, you can please share, or if you want to share any other thing related to this slide or any practices that you're already doing in the classroom, you can share it. Either you can raise your hand or share in the chat box. I'm going to pause for 10 seconds and then we'll go to the next part of the article. Okay, so now we can go to the next slide. Okay, this is the second slide. I want somebody else to volunteer and read out the second slide. Somebody who has not talked today at all, or I can maybe pick somebody. Can somebody volunteer? Pushpa Ghodke ma'am, Saroj ma'am, Sonali ma'am. Okay, somebody has raised hand. Kavita Patil ma'am. I'm going to wait for 5 more seconds if anybody else wants to volunteer. Kavita ma'am has already spoken. Somebody who has not spoken today. Is there anybody else? Anyway. Okay, Faiyaz ma'am. Okay. Kavita ma'am, do you mind if I ask her to respond? Is that okay?
Teachers play a pivotal role in fostering this habit by demonstrating effect. Questioning techniques, they can show how to ask questions that explore the motivation of the characters, the implications of events, or underlying the themes in a story. This makes learning more engaging and helps students develop a habit of thinking critically and staying curious about what they read. Questioning techniques can be used both for assessment of learning and assessment for learning. During the teaching, Questions can help check if students have understood or comprehended the material. After the lesson, questioning can be used to assess their overall learning and grasp of the content, encouraging students to ask and effectively take time requires a trusting classroom environment. Teachers should where students feel safe and not judged for their responses. This includes supporting all attempts, even incorrect answers, and providing constructive feedback. Additionally, teachers should use wait time, which is the pause between asking a question and receiving a response. This gives students more time to think and formulate their answers, promoting better engagement and understanding.
Thank you, sir. Okay. So in this particular part, sir, I'll come to that. Ganesh, sir, I'm coming to that. So in the first part, we say that if you want to begin, suppose till yesterday you have not like followed this method, but from tomorrow you wish to start this method, you have to begin by demonstrating. तुम्ही modeling ni सुरुवात करा. Immediately, if you start bombarding students with a lot of questions, they might be confused. So to begin a questioning chain or questioning sequence in the classroom, and if you want to have this as a habit for a very long term, you can begin by demonstrating it. You start modeling as a teacher. You start asking different kinds of questions. You can show them how to ask questions, right? So this will again, this will help them to be more engaged in the classroom and develop a habit of critical thinking. Then coming to the second point, one is assessment of learning and one is assessment for learning. So I hope you know what the difference is. Does anybody want to try? Assessment of learning and assessment for learning मध्ये काय फरक असतो? Can anybody tell me if you already know? If you don't know, we can just go over it. But if somebody already knows, I just want you to share it with the bigger group. Anybody wants to just give a try? Just try करायचंय का? We've already given the answer because in the session we have discussed about this earlier. Okay, so assessment of learning is teaching something and then asking questions on it. जे आपण परीक्षेमध्ये करतो. Assessment of learning म्हणजे काय शिकलोय त्याचा assessment करणे. And assessment for learning is like your formative assessments that you do throughout the year, or like check for understanding that we already discussed. Somebody said in the chat box. Assessment for learning is checking, waiting. Like, yes, sir. Manish sir, do you want to try? You can unmute and respond, sir. Okay. Anyway, so assessment for learning is assessing if the child is understanding. जसे आपले formative assessments किंवा unit test किंवा छोटे छोटे parts असतात धड्यामध्ये जिथे आपण pause घेतो. We just check if the students are understanding and then we move ahead. So that is called assessment for learning, and assessment of learning is like your final exam or the term end exam where you are assessing what the child has learned, right? So assessment for learning is extremely important, where you pause throughout the lesson and ask questions to check if this child is understanding, right? So comprehension होतंय का नाही किंवा meaning making होतंय का नाही हे बघण्यासाठी आपण जे वारंवार प्रश्न विचारतो छोटे छोटे धड्याच्या मध्ये, that is assessment for learning. You're just checking if the student is following. So questioning can be used for both. During the class or during teaching, you can use the questioning technique, and at the end of the lesson when you want to say take a short test or exam to check what the students know now, you can also take assessment of the learning. This is similar to your formative and summative assessments that you do throughout the year, right? So questioning is very, very important. We usually ask questions only in the exam, but then what kind of questions are to be asked is also very important. Some teachers said we asked MCQs. Somebody said that we use subjective and objective both kind of questions. So having a variety of questions is also important in the assessment. एकाच प्रकारचे खूप प्रश्न विचारले तर the students will not be exposed to a lot of questions. But when you pick questions, pick a variety of questions from different categories, right? And lastly, like I said, if you want to begin this practice, probably till now you were only asking the questions below the textbook. Once you want to begin the practice in the classroom, it's very, very important to create the proper learning environment. तुमच्या वर्गात कशा प्रकारचा वातावरण डेव्हलप करणं फार इम्पॉर्टंट आहे. सो यू हॅव टू मेक द there should be trust between the students and the teachers, and you should create a safe space where the students feel that I can say anything म्हणजे चुकीची उत्तरं दिली तरी शिक्षक आपल्याला ओरडणार नाही किंवा बोलणार नाही किंवा मुलाचा कुठल्याही प्रकारे अपमान करणार नाही. ही जेव्हा शाश्वती किंवा विश्वास मुलांना वाटतो तेव्हा मुलं स्वतःला जे वाटतं ते एक्सप्रेस करायला कम्फर्टेबल फील करतात. सो वेन यू वॉन्ट द स्टुडंट्स टू respond to your questions, as teachers, we should take efforts to create that kind of a positive and very supportive environment in the classroom. You can say that these answers are right. म्हणजे तुम्हाला जर का फीडबॅक द्यायचा तर नक्की द्यावा. मुलांना करेक्ट करू नये का, तर असं नाहीये. मुलांना नक्कीच चुकीची उत्तरं किंवा चुकीच्या कन्सेप्ट असेल तर त्या बाजूला करणं गरजेचं आहे. बट देन इवन इफ दे आर आन्सरिंग wrongly, that means they are thinking. चुकीचं उत्तर द्यायला पण थोडासा विचार करावा लागतो. सो मुलं विचार करतात आणि उत्तर देतात म्हणजेच काहीतरी कुठेतरी ते डीपर मिनिंग मेकिंग होत आहे. Another thing, which is the last concept from this, is wait time. Wait time. Lot of times teachers and as a trainer also, I also have this very bad habit, asking a question, immediately giving out the answer. We ask a question and then we don't wait फॉर अ लॉंग टाइम. आपल्याला वाटतं की आता कोणीच बोलत नाही, एकदम सायलेन्स आहे वर्गामध्ये. बट प्लीज रिमेंबर दॅट टाइम इज व्हेरी इम्पॉर्टंट बिकॉज द स्टुडंट्स आर प्रोसेसिंग द थॉट्स. मुलांना काहीतरी सुचलंय ते एकत्र करून ते बोलण्याचं डेअरिंग करणे आणि ते फायनली बोलणे, ऑल दीज स्टेप्स टेक अ लॉट ऑफ टाइम. सो प्रोबॅबली वेन यू आर थिंकिंग दॅट द चाइल्ड इज नॉट एबल टू आन्सर, द चाइल्ड माइट बी ऍक्च्युअली प्रोसेसिंग इट इन देअर ब्रेन अँड देन taking time to gather the courage to speak in front of the teacher. So a lot of times as teachers we give out the answers immediately, right? So असं न करता आपण थोडंसं जास्त थांबणं गरजेचं आहे. let there be awkward silence. असा awkward एक silence असतो मध्ये, but eventually the students will answer, right? So giving out answers is not a very good habit. Instead you wait for some time so the students can think on their own and then they can answer, right? Okay, so this was all about the reading article. I'm going to pause here and I'm going to ask you have any doubts. ह्याच्यावरती कोणाला काही बोलायचं किंवा डाउट्स असतील तर you can please raise your hands or you can type in the chat box and then we can go ahead. Like I said, questioning is definitely one important technique to learn a language, but beyond that, it's also a very important technique to develop the higher order thinking skills in students. So please remember that it can be used for any other subject. We are talking specifically about English, but then it can be applied throughout the curriculum. Any thoughts, any suggestions, any experiences? I'm just going to wait and pause for 10 seconds. If you want to say anything, you can please raise your hand. Otherwise, we can move ahead to the last part of the session. All right. Okay, so now we can move ahead. Next slide, please. Now we are going to see some of the classroom activities. What can we do? So the first activity is teachers will create a chart with the help of students, writing down some of the questions that will be asked to know more about a person. The chart will be pasted on the wall. So TLM creation ha ek mudda apan bolloy baryach vela. To make your classroom print rich, you can have charts like this pasted on the wall and it will have a set of questions. So for example, there are questions like how are you, what is your name, how old are you. So when this is also, we can also connect this to social expressions. So if you are meeting a person for the first time, you can ask all these types of questions in an introduction, right? So these are the kinds of questions we can ask and you can make it into a chart and put it on the wall. The second activity is lesson question chart. So if you are teaching a certain lesson or a story, what are the elements of that story? ह्याच्यावरती वेगवेगळे प्रश्न तयार करता येतात. फॉर एक्झाम्पल, व्हॉट इज द टायटल ऑफ द लेसन? डू यू लाईक द स्टोरी? व्हाय डू यू लाईक इट? Which characters are there in the story? Which is your favorite character? So you can have lot of different kinds of questions on this particular exercise. Both the activities can be done for lower grades also and higher grades. 3 to 8 set ह्या सगळ्या activities आपण करू शकतो. So you just put a reference chart in the class and then you ask students to answer these questions. Next slide. So these are the anchor charts or charts as we call them. So Here are some examples on the right. You can say story elements. There are around, I think, 8 questions. Title of the story, who is in the story, where is the story happening, what are the events in the story, त्याचा काय sequence आहे, काय काय घडतंय story मध्ये. So you can also ask the students to retell a story. म्हणजे तुम्ही एक गोष्ट वाचून दाखवायची आणि मग मुलांना म्हणायचं तुम्हाला सांग बरं तुला काय कळलं. So that's also one way of meaning making or comprehension, right? So these are the different kinds of elements that are present in the story. You can paste it on the wall. I have made it on a simple A4 sheet. You can make it into a big chart paper and put it on the wall. On the left, you have questions like where, who, what, when, why, how. So if you're asking students to ask a question, मुलांना तुम्ही शिकवताय की प्रश्न कसे बनवायचे. So this acts as a guide for that. So you can say, ask me 4 questions using 4 different words from this chart. So the student has to ask one question with what, one question with how, one question with why, something like that. So this is a chart with question words, but then it can also be pasted on the wall and used for questioning in the classroom. Next slide. So next activity is making questions. So if you remember, we had played a short game in the session where I give you 2 words and you have to make a sentence out of it. It's a similar game. Instead of a statement or a sentence, you have to make a question. So for example, if the 2 words are playground, so where do we play cricket? So that's like you make questions. So आपण आधी आता खेळ खेळलो सुरुवातीच्या स्लाइड वरती. You give them one word and then they make a question so that word becomes the answer. So that's a slightly complex game, but you can play it with grade 5 to grade 8 students. It's a very interesting game. Instead of words, you can also give phrases. Phrases म्हणजे थोडंसं एक 3-4 शब्द एकत्र असे पण देऊ शकता. And then the 4th activity, like I said, there can be different kind of question words on the chart, and students take turns. They will take turns and they will make questions starting with each word based on the text that you are teaching. So where is the window? What is the color of the door? So this is also a very fun game that you can play in the classroom. Like I said, all these activities do not have to be 30 minutes long or for entire period. You can dedicate only like every day, maybe 5 to 10 minutes only for this exercise. Today we will do this. असं म्हणून तुम्ही जर काही activity 3 केली, so you do it like a rapid fire and you do it only for 5 to 8 minutes at the start of the day, end of the day, or anywhere where the students are not very interested in reading something. You can engage them with such fun activities, right? So these are the activities you can do with your students. I'll share the PPT and you can have those with you. Next. Now we are going to watch a video. Today's video is shared by Jayashri ma'am. Jayashri ma'am, are you there in the call? Can you just raise your hand? I just want you to talk about what you have done in the classroom and something about the video. Yeah. You can unmute yourself. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
As per your instructions, I've done my best. I taught the lesson to the class 6, and the story was about a lion, man, and statue. Firstly, I showed them to watch the picture, and then I asked. I started teaching the story to them. After teaching towards the lines, I want to know how they understand and what are the meanings of particular words.
Okay.
So I
Jayashri
asked
ma'am,
them.
I'm going to ask you to pause. I'm going to ask you to pause. Let us all watch the video and then have a discussion on this. Is it okay? Yeah.
Okay, ma'am.
So thank you. Jayashri ma'am has recorded a class of grade 6 students and she has taught a lesson, like she said, which is about lion and the human deciding who's better between them. So that was the lesson she had chosen and she's done the video with them. Sana, can you play the video? Please enable the sound sharing so that everybody can hear. Please observe what is happening in the video. Observe what kind of questions ma'am is asking, how the students are responding to her, and at the end we will discuss your observations. Yes.
Okay, sit down. Today we are going to learn a lesson. The man, lion, man and statue. I am writing down the name of the lesson. Lion and statue. First, I read the lesson and you have to point your finger on that lion. Okay. The lion, the man and the statue. Long ago, men and animals could talk to each other. फार वर्षापूर्वी माणूस आणि पशु किंवा लायन लायन म्हणजे कोण लायन means what? They could talk to each other. Once a man and a lion got talking. The lion was very proud of his strength. You know strength, Shakti. I am the king of beasts. Who were talking in this lesson? Can you tell me? Who were talking? Yes, Shruti.
The lion talking.
Lion and
The man.
the man. Very good. The lion and man both are talking. Now here a word come beast. What is the meaning of word beast? What does it mean? Yes, Shruti.
Beast means pashu.
Can you tell me in English?
Wild animals.
Loudly, come again.
Wild animals.
Okay, beast means wild animals. Have you know about the wild animals? Do you know about wild animals? Which are they? Okay.
Tiger.
Tiger. Very good.
Lion.
Lion. Okay.
Wolf.
Wolf. Prathamesh. Okay, elephant. And Siddhi.
Cheetah.
Loudly, come again.
Cheetah.
Cheetah. These are cheetah, elephant, wolf. Any other?
Fox.
Fox. These are some lion, tiger. These are some wild animals or beast. You can say beast. Now, if a beast came in front of you, what is your reaction? If a beast came in front of you, what do you do?
I will cry.
Okay, the girl is saying that she will cry. Dhruva,
I will run.
you will?
Run.
Okay, she will run from the beast. Why you run? Why you run? Not the sun. Why you run?
कारण वाघ आपल्याला खाऊ शकतो.
Okay, she's telling that the lion tiger would eat her.
I am throw the stone.
You come again, Bharat.
I am throw the stone.
He will throw a stone to that lion. Okay. Okay, very good answers. Now, put your finger on the line, please. The man was also proud of his intelligence. What do you mean by intelligence? Do you know? Okay, Sushti, tell.
Intelligent means buddhiman.
Okay, intelligent means buddhiman. The man is very intelligent. All we are intelligent. Okay. Don't forget that men are more intelligent than you. That is why they can hunt you or capture you. Okay. Now, they both began to argue. Who began to argue? What is mean by argue? Do you know? Argue? Yes.
Wild.
Loudly.
वाद घालणे.
Okay, very good answer. Argue means वाद घालणे. Do you argue? Do you argue, Srushti?
I argue with my sister.
Why? Why you argue? Hey,
Cycle. About cycle.
Okay, for cycle. Do you argue
I argue with my brother.
with her brother? Why?
About Cadbury.
Okay. Her brother wants a Cadbury and she also wants the same Cadbury. This Cadbury पाहिजे. So they both of them argue, brother and sister. Okay.
I argue my brother.
Why? Why you argue?
Batting.
For batting. He wants to bat and at the same time his brother also wants to bat. So they argue. Why you argue?
I argue with my sister.
With your
Sister.
why?
About notebook.
About
Notebook.
notebook. You want a notebook? And same notebook your sister wants. Okay? So both they are okay. Come again to the lesson now. At last, the man took the lion to a statue in a big garden.
I'm sorry, in the interest of time, we will have to pause the video. So now you can go back to the presentation. But I want to appreciate Jayashree ma'am's effort. It is a wonderful video where she demonstrates how she's doing questioning skills with grade 6 students. And it is really a very good effort, Jayashree ma'am. Since we have a very short time, she was able to do a very short video, but I think when it's a half an hour class, you can do much more in the classroom. So now we can open it for sharing. Please share your observations. What did you see? What went well? What could have been better? If you want to do it in your classroom, what will you do differently? असे सगळे आपण प्रश्न आता थोडेसे याचा विचार करूयात आणि शेअर करूयात. All right, we are going to raise our hands or type in the chat box. What did you like in the video, or maybe how will you do it if you want to do it in your classroom? Or what did you observe, or what kind of questions did Jayashree ma'am ask in the class? Anybody? Okay, so she was teaching a story, but then we have watched the video for the questioning skills. So can you comment anything about what kind of questions or how were the questions designed? Was there variety in the questions? Were they factual questions? आज आपण जे काही बोललो ते मुद्दे त्याच्यावर थोडासा विचार करूया. Yes, Vilas sir. Vilas sir, you can unmute yourself and respond.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, the students are responding very well in the
Correct.
required class.
Hmm.
Ma'am is also telling story, and the dealing of the ma'am is also English to English is also there. Whatever be some there, ma'am is also using some Marathi words.
Correct.
And some of them, the students are also answering in English language. Some of the student response is also in mother tongue. Students are telling correct meaning of words in Marathi. Means this is acceptable. This is very good because students should be habitual of English with the help of our mother tongue. Then some of the students try to give answers. Means in according to me, whole class is also dealing with the madam. That whole class is also speaking there. But according to my point of view, that I heard the translation method must be avoided. Whether we are dealing to the class first, second, third, whatever be class is there, there is need of dealing with the student that should be English to English. Then the students will be habitual of it, and students will speak correctly. Then words meaning must be accepted in English. That is also. Means this is in according to me very good, and that is important. The lesson was also very good. Madam's lesson was very good, and this is a guideline to all of us.
Yes, thank you, sir. You've summarized everything very briefly. So, sir has covered almost all the points. So, like he said that she was accepting answers in mother tongue, which was a very good thing. But then, sir also thinks that there should be more use of English. I completely agree with you. But also, maybe every class is different. We must also understand that each set of students needs something different. So maybe at grade 6, you can allow students to use little bit of Marathi. As they go into the higher classes, definitely try and push them to speak more in English. But then overall, I think different types of questions were asked in the story during the story. I liked how first she was asking, do you know the meaning of it? She was constantly checking for their understanding. And when they said, yes, we know what argue means, then she was asking some questions that they could relate with their personal life. And if you see, a boy said, I argue for batting, a girl said, I argue for cycle. So everybody related it in their own context, and then they were able to give the answers, right? Manish sir is saying that she asked open-ended questions. She accepted mother tongue, correct. She asked open-ended questions where student had different answers and all the answers were acceptable. Jayashree ma'am never said that, no, this is wrong, this is not the right answer. असं त्या म्हणल्या नाही. She accepted all the answers. So that was also appreciable. Teachers appreciate students for giving answers, also correct their answers. Correct. You have to appreciate जर काही बरोबर बोलली मुलं तर you immediately have to say that this is right or this is a very good effort. You have to keep encouraging them. And wherever they are going wrong, you have to correct them. But then we do not cold call. We do not say ki, suppose I want to give feedback to Sana, I'm not going to say Sana, this is wrong. असं न म्हणता, I'm just going to say, this is a very good answer, Sana, but you can say like this from next time. पुढच्या वेळेस पासून तुम्ही असं म्हणा. किंवा you say ki, I'm going to say the correct sentence, please repeat after me. So that the child understands that there is some other method to say this in a correct way, right? So that's also there. So she was accepting all the answers, appreciating them. So overall, it was a very good video. Like I said, due to lack of time, she could only record it for 6.5 or 7 minutes. When you will do it in the classroom, you will probably do it for 30-35 minutes and your classes will be more engaging, right? All right, that brings us to the end of the session. We are slightly beyond time. Coming to the last slide. Can we go to the last slide? Yes, what did we discuss today? Takeaways, questions and answers. You have any questions? And then how are we going to do it in the classroom? Quickly, you can put it in the class chat box. आज आपण कोणत्या कोणत्या मुद्द्यांवरती बोललो. You can just type words. If you don't want to type out sentences, that's okay. Just put words in the chat box. What all we discussed today. I'm waiting for the responses. Just last couple of minutes and then we are going to end the meeting. What did we discuss today? If you remember, we began with the listening activity, then we did speaking. Yes, Vinayak sir, if you can summarize it for everybody.
Yeah. Am I audible?
Yes.
Hello, ma'am.
Yes, sir, you're audible.
Today we discuss about the importance and formation of questioning skill in day-to-day conversation or day-to-day learning and teaching. In today's topic, discuss how questioning is important. Questioning is important in comprehension of any topic or any subject and lesson. So there are so many types of questions on this podcast. Type of question, interpretation type question, open-ended questions, closed-ended question, and so many questions are there, and there are difference of studying of students as well as teachers. So questions is very important in day-to-day conversations or teaching, learning, or understanding any language. In Marathi also, in our mother tongue also, questioning is very important. So if you want to reach out with different skills of language, the question skill effectively to engage students. Okay, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so
Thank you,
much.
ma'am.
Most of the points are covered, and we have some more points in the chat box. Why questioning is important? Questioning for deeper thinking, questioning technique to be used in the class, questioning skills, types, responses, how to push them to speak in English, vocabulary, questions for assessment of learning and assessment for learning. We also saw some engaging activities that can be conducted in the class, right? So all of these things we discussed today. I hope that the topic was clear enough. We have some supporting document that we have referred for this session. It's an open resource, so I will share it with you when I share the session plan. I will share the session plan by the end of today that you can use for your tag sessions. I hope the session was engaging and interesting with a new topic. And there was something for all of us to learn from it and take away from today's session. If you have any questions, please reach out to us or Torne Madam or anybody. We would be happy to answer. Torne Madam, if you want to share any closing thoughts, we will just respond to a short survey before we leave the meeting, and then we will close for the day. Torne Madam, yeah.
Thank you very much, Aishwarya Madam. I think this session must be very interesting. I was with this meeting, so I listen all your opinion and communication and interaction and everything. And this makes me happy that everyone is engaged with this meeting. So thank you very much, Aishwarya. Thank you very much, all of you. And of course, my thanks goes to the Karikar sir, education officer of Jilla Parishad Secondary Department, and of course, whose best wishes are always with us. That is our principal, Sri Namdev Shankar sir. So my thanks goes to them, and thank you very much. And I would like to give best wishes to all of you that you will organize these TAC meetings very nicely at your cluster level. And one request to all of you that you have to speak English only, because this platform is given for the exposure of English language only. So every TAG coordinator will interact with their TAG members in English only, and they will use English. But as Aishwarya ma'am use little bit bilingual method, so you can use that kind of bilingual method too. But most of the time, give opportunity to every TAG coordinators to express in English only. So thank you very much, and best wishes for your TAG meetings. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. I'm going to request Sana to launch the poll. Let's see after the session, is there any change in